In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro reiterated his call for the Venezuelan people to actively participate in the fourth National Popular Consultation 2025, scheduled for next Sunday, November 23rd, with the aim of choosing the priority projects for each commune. In Honduras, the audio recordings of the National Electoral Council advisor Cossette Lopez were subjected to international forensic analysis, which concluded that they were genuine. And the Argentine Retirees Union mobilized in Buenos Aires to protest the budget cuts proposed by Javier Milei's administration. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro reiterated his call for the Venezuelan people to actively participate in the fourth National Popular Consultation 2025, scheduled for next Sunday, November 23rd, with the aim of choosing the priority projects for each commune. During President Maduro's visit to the Guerreras y Guerreros de Ojo de Agua Socialist Commune, the head of state explained the new comprehensive development plan for the Caracas-La Guaira road corridor, which will coordinate development projects with the communes and will have the conditions to become a model corridor at the national level through the 7 transformations 7T. In this sense, the President highlighted the importance of strengthening the union of the communes and consolidating initiatives that promote collective well-being.
And well, we began a journey that is now bearing fruit, its harvest, a conscious people, an empowered people, a people that won't be disturbed by anyone there in the imperialist north. With their words and threats, there they are, with their ambitions. Criminals seeking to colonize and conquer our America, and here we are, Caribbean people, rebel people. Building in the communities, in the neighborhoods, solid foundations of peace, prosperity, and solving historical issues that our people deserve to solve with their own efforts.
The head of state also emphasized that building a democracy requires time, education, and constant empowerment of the people.
Building a democracy like this takes time, because you have to awaken the people, and it has taken time to awaken them decades, sometimes centuries. You have to educate the people, give them values, consciousness, and you have to do it by empowering them step by step, so that the people, awakened, educated, empowered, and conscious, can have their own destiny in their hands, and don't depend on anyone else. Let's not expect anything from anyone but ourselves.
President Maduro also called for an end to the genocide and war in the world caused by the United States empire.
There were 40,000 indigenous people of the Caracas tribes in the Caracas Valley, in the small part that you got to know, because now it is Greater Caracas. 40,000. And 80 years later, after a census was conducted, there were 1,800 of them left. What can you call that? That's a genocide. That's extermination. That's the truth. Let's learn from history, the good things and the bad things, and let's tell the empires of the 21st century, no to war, no to genocide, no to killing. Peoples have the right to live, to exist, and to grow as they wish.
And we stay in Venezuela. The country celebrates the National Vanguard Student Congress 2025, where the renewal of leadership in secondary and university education is addressed. The event counted on the participation of Venezuela's Vice President, teleSUR, who highlighted the patriotic and peaceful spirit of the students in the country. During the event, the Minister of Education, Hector Rodriguez, highlighted the government's educational policies, ensuring the right to free education. Organizations of students assure that the sector has managed to face the challenges according to the current demands.
Here the generation is the great generation that sustains Venezuela, that sustains it from the study. You know, Bolivar said that a person without an education is an incomplete person, that education is the joy of life. And Venezuelan education, which must be a quality education, must teach you to think, because we are in the middle of an unprecedented technological revolution that humanity is experiencing.
The third edition of the Conference on Insurgent and Decolonizing History of Memory is underway, with symposiums focusing on the role of women in the past and present and how they have excelled in the face of the patriarchal system. At the Simón Bolívar Study Center in Caracas, their presentations emphasize the historical development of women who have been subjugated in the peoples of Latin America and the Caribbean, despite being key figures during the independence struggle against the Spanish Empire. The speakers warned that women in the 20th century continue to be minimized in different environments where the role of men prevails over that of women. On other topics, a group of friends in defense of the United Nations Charter expressed its deepest concern about the continuing escalation of tensions against Venezuela following the United States military deployment in the Caribbean region. In a statement, the group warns that these aggressive actions, combined with U.S. military exercises a few kilometers from Venezuela, are being used to perpetrate attacks on countries, representing an escalation in the already alarming military and hostile buildup in Latin America and the Caribbean. The group observes that the military deployment, combined with explicit threats and the fabrication of pretexts through lies and misinformation, creates an atmosphere of coercion and intimidation that constitutes a clear violation of the letter and spirit of the United Nations Charter. Among the demands, it urges the United States to desist from all covert and open actions aimed at destabilizing and advancing policies of regime change in the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. And in the United States, new documents released by Democrat lawmakers mention former Colombian President Andrés Pastrana on at least 4 occasions in the file of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The files, which include flight records, emails, and timelines reconstructed by the Miami Herald, point out that Pastrana was among the passengers on trips where minors were also present, according to the testimony of the tycoon's pilot, who claims he was unaware of the crimes being committed. The documents rekindle doubts about the former president's relationship with Epstein, who had been facing sexual crime charges since 2005. Pastrana has denied any improper connection and maintains that his recorded trip was in response to a very special invitation. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In Honduras, the audio recordings of the National Electoral Council advisor Cossette Lopez were subjected to international forensic analysis, which concluded that they were genuine. The analysis sought to confirm the authenticity of the audio recordings that would link Lopez to acts aimed at destabilizing the upcoming elections to be held in the country. The expert reports were requested by the Attorney General's office and are added to a technical analysis conducted by national specialists in artificial intelligence, who had already confirmed their authenticity. In this regard, the representative of the auditing company announced that these audio files are real and have not been created with artificial intelligence or manipulated. Also in Honduras, the presidential candidate for the Liberty and Refoundation Party, Libre, Rixi Moncada, presented her government proposals in the city of San Pedro Sula ahead of the general elections on November 30th. Candidate Rixi Moncada emphasized that her government plan is based on the Constitution of the Republic and the economic principles of democratic socialism, social justice, and the strengthening of the state to continue serving the Honduran people. Her proposals include universal access to healthcare and education, as well as the expansion of social security to all workers. In this regard, she added that a social housing program will be created to support Honduran families, and the program to assist returned migrants will continue. On November 30th, more than 6.5 million Honduras are called to elect a new president, 298 mayors and 128 members of the National Congress.
This plan is based on economic justice, security and defense, mega public investment, reform of the justice system, foreign policy,
en la reforma al sistema de justicia, en la política exterior,
the environment and strategic sectors, social justice, and the right to the truth of all peoples. That is where our plan is founded.
el derecho a la verdad de todos los pueblos. Ahí está cimentado nuestro plan.
With a solid constitutional base, powerful, which we will defend forever, as we have done over the last 16 years, under the foundation of the principle of popular sovereignty.
Del principio de soberanía popular.
The candidate for the Libre Party, Rixi Moncada, also assured that on November 30th, the Honduran people will democratically confirm another victory for popular sovereignty.
He recorrido el país completo.
I have traveled throughout the entire country, all 18 departments, and we are now close to concluding this electoral process. 10 days from Sunday, November 30th.
Del domingo 30 de noviembre. Compañeros y compañeras en todo el territorio nacional.
Comrades throughout the nation, victory is ours. Victory belongs to the people in resistance. Be assured that once again, the people in resistance, with truth and reason, has defeated the dictatorship.
Que nuevamente el pueblo en resistencia, con la verdad y con la razón, ha derrotado la dictadura.
Let us go peacefully, let us go democratically to the ballot box on November 30th, to confirm one more triumph of the people, one more triumph of popular sovereignty.
Del pueblo, un triunfo más de la soberanía popular.
And in other topics, the Argentine Retirees Union mobilized in Buenos Aires to protest the budget cuts proposed by Javier Milei's administration. The march began in the vicinity of Plaza de Mayo, and a document of rejection was later delivered to the Casa Rosada. The union also demanded a proportional retirement pension at all levels and denounced the repression by the national police. In addition, it demanded that the Milei government respect the senior citizens basket by monthly pension mobility and compensation for women aged 55 and over and men aged 60 and over. Meanwhile, in Uruguay, the private school teachers union began a 24-hour national strike to demand a wage increase. The educators union said that the final stage of the wage council round has been completed, in which the union seeks to conclude a collective agreement that improves the living conditions of workers. In turn, the measure is part of the defense of real wage increases, the incorporation of semestral adjustments that guarantee purchasing power, and the extension of a sick leave. In addition, the teachers' union is demanding a budgetary response that meets its needs. And speaking about environment, in Chile, at least 5 tourists lost their lives after being caught in wind gusts exceeding 150 kilometers per hour. According to reports, the deceased were 2 Mexicans, 2 Germans, and 1 British national who were on an excursion in Torres del Paine National Park in Patagonia. Authorities reported that the remaining tourists were located and evacuation efforts were then initiated. This national park has more than 240,000 protected hectares and is one of the most important attractions in the south of the continent. And Indonesia's Semeru volcano erupted, unleashing fast-moving volcanic flows as the country's volcanology agency increased the alert level of Java Island's tallest mountain to the highest. The eruption began at about 4 p.m. local time. The volcano spewed ash clouds as tall as 5.6 kilometers into the sky, and authorities recommend to stay at least 2.5 kilometers distance away due to the risks. Indonesia is home to nearly 130 active volcanoes, more than any other country, and Semeru's frequent activity is closely monitored because of the risk it poses to nearby communities, transport routes, and also aviation. Semeru has erupted numerous times in the past 200 years, including a deadly episode in 2021 that killed 62 people and buried villages in hot ash. And Israeli occupation forces once again attacked residential areas of the Palestinian city of Gaza, leaving more than 20 people killed. Israel launched airstrikes against a building housing displaced people in the Zaytun neighborhood of the Gaza Strip, as well as against refugee tents in the Mawasi area, west of the city of Khan Yunis. According to the Ministry of Health of the Palestinian enclave, these attacks left at least 77 people injured. It should be noted that this wave of aggression is part of a repeated offensive by Israel against the Arab nation with the aim of illegally appropriating the territory and in flagrant violation of the ceasefire agreed between the Palestinian delegation Hamas and Israel. In this context, Israel also continued its attacks against southern Lebanon in a flagrant violation of the ceasefire agreements. Israeli Zionist forces carried out attacks on residential areas in the village of Chuhur. Authorities have reported no victims so far. However, civil defense teams are on site in case of any emergency. According to local media, students from Suhur, Srifa, and surrounding areas of the Tairu district were evacuated after warnings of a possible Israeli attack in the area. Since the ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel came into effect on November 27, 2024, the Zionist army has bombed the neighboring country almost daily. And now we stay in Lebanon. The President Joseph Aoun defended the National Army's resolve to continue its mission in the face of influences from suspicious campaigns, inciting speeches, or attempts to plant doubts from abroad. The Lebanese head of state also highlighted the organization of security forces together with the military in the pursuit of offenders and introducing crime in all aspects, including border protection. He also expressed his condolences for the fall in combat of soldiers during the pursuit of drug traffickers in Baalbek and wished a speedy recovery for the injured. Russia responded to Kiev's attacks by launching Kins-Hal missiles against Ukrainian military facilities. Moscow counterattacked with long-range precision weapons and drones against Ukrainian military and energy facilities. The information was provided by the Kremlin, which specified that all designated targets were hit. Earlier, Russia reported that Ukrainian troops launched 4 US-made missiles against the Russian city of Voronezh, which were shot down by air defense systems. And Ukraine is in crisis. 2 ministers were dismissed on suspicions of corruption for misappropriating funds from the energy sector. At least 323 members of parliament voted in favor of the motion to remove Justice Minister German Gauleshenko and Energy Minister Svetlana Grinchuk from office, with 350 votes in favor. Authorities seized thousands of dollars and euros in cash, along with secret recordings of telephone conversations and almost hours of materials to be analyzed. In this context, the investigations and the seized material provided a solid basis for an investigation and uncovered the mega corruption in which close associates of President Zelensky are implicated. After the pre-trial investigation, the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine announced the involvement of President Volodymyr Zelensky in corruption in the energy sector. Investigators identified multiple misappropriations of funds, rigged contracts, and a series of illegal commissions stemming from international aid that was intended for essential services for the people. In addition, the investigation pointed to Timur Mindish, known in Kiev as Zelensky's wallet, as a key player in the scandal. Mendes allegedly used his connections with the president and former ministers to influence public decisions and ensure the flow of money to his network. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.